Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Wanting to get this off my chest. Rant. I'm just discovering this sub and I want to tell my story. It still haunts me and I'm desperate to heal because I feel like I should be past it. Got together when we were 19 and lasted for 6 years. In the beginning I ignored the signs that she only had male friends and was quick to make more friends while constantly assuring me it was nothing. We moved into my family home together pretty quick and I proposed. She pressured me to have kids but I refused due to our age and lack of financial stability and it would cause fights. She would have guys over at my house and have them leave before I got there or shortly after I was there, and the tone would change when the other guy would leave. I was always accused of being too jealous, but in hindsight she was manipulative and using me for a place to live, rides to work and every other sign of a codependent relationship you can imagine. After having issues with my family we moved in with a friend of ours and it got to the point where I was afraid to get into a fight because it would result in hanging out with someone because she needed space. I dreaded leaving the house and go to work because she was going to have someone over. Needless to say I developed and still deal with trust issues. Things never came out until after I broke up with her, aside from the one time I went through her phone and found pictures and descriptive texts back and forth with a cow. This is where it gets vicious. We split about 3 years ago and she quickly married and had a child with a then friend of the group we had. She came to me complaining about her marriage after a while of us not talking but attempting to have some type of friendship. I asked her about things and she confessed to 2 or 3 people that I had suspected, but it always turned around on me and made me feel like less. We ended up having an affair but I never wanted to get back together with her. She would send me dirty pictures while her child was asleep or have webcam sex. Send me pics of her and her husband having sex. She would tell me about how guys were offering to support her and her child, that she would start fights with her husband for fun and torture him like she did to me, but when I asked her why she did that to me she would claim she never did it or I was making things up. She felt it necessary to tell me about how she went on a trip and slept with one of my childhood friends and how he was the love of her life. The last straw was this last winter when I was going through depression due to COVID isolations, and being alone with my thoughts made me feel like I wasted my 20s. Talking with one of my best friends I came to find out that they had slept together too. I bit my tongue for the longest but couldn't help but confront her one last time. She expanded it to 6 people and asked me why I was still so upset after all this time, and I needed to get over her and seek help. It's safe to say that all the sexual acts she did with me while she was married she was doing with other guys while we were engaged. I have almost no friends now due to her. I'm sure she sent private videos that we made to other men. I lost a lot of self-confidence. I'm still fighting to get back. I've considered telling her husband about what I know but don't see the point in ruining someone else's relationship over something I should have stopped from the first sign and had the self-worth to. I keep telling myself hurt people and I'm trying to stop holding on from the baggage of a young toxic relationship. TLDR, the truth of a 6-year toxic relationship where I moved her into my house and attempted to build a life was thrown away due to her being a pathological liar and having numerous suitors, including some of my best friends or guys that she would introduce me to and fool around with while I was at work or not home. Still hurts, and it's been a challenge to form new relationships, romantic or platonic. If this sub could help get what's off my chest, then I'm stepping in the right direction. You should tell her husband. You would have wanted someone to tell you so you didn't waste 6 years of your life with her. You're right. I think about it from time to time. I've considered how to do it with minimal blowback. What kind of blowback are you worried about? With the time that has passed I'd probably be painted as the crazy ex who's looking for revenge. There's a child in the mix and I don't care enough to be the reason why the boy grows up without a parent in their life. You have video of them having sex and pictures of her naked next to her kid. Also, I'm sure you can get more proof if you want to, like your texts. She doesn't sound like a stable person to be raising a child. Maybe you'll be doing that kid a favor. So what if you are looking for revenge? It's not like you're lying. You're fabricating details. I could give two ducks about revenge. I'd rather be happy and successful than be the slow killer. You do need professional help, but not for the reasons she was telling you. You seem to have extremely low self-esteem. If you figure that one out, you'll be alright. You're right. Self-esteem has been something I've been working on, and finding a therapist has been difficult in my experience. I tend to get the impression that as a man I should find a fast way to move on. Is it possible for you to find a good therapist to help you process all this too? Overall, her affairs and issues had nothing to do with you at all. They were and still are because something in her is deeply broken, and she is using whatever means she can to hide within what she does to deflect everything from those issues, whatever they may be. The only thing that would change her is herself. Focus on you here, not her or anything she did or does. Distance yourself, and if you do happen to engage with her, look up Grey Rock. Google it. Don't let her get anything out of you or your life. You now have a blueprint of what not to get involved with. Do you see that? Your 30s are fun too. Smile, focus on you and what you want from life, better yourself for you. As for her husband, he probably already knows or might just be too dense to know. That is up to you if you want to tell him of her antics. He might not believe you. Would you have believed when you were in the relationship with her? Seriously, you dodged the bullet there. You don't have children with her and you didn't marry her. Best thing you can do is consider it all a learning experience. You will get new friends, better friends, and move on. Best revenge is living a good life. Let karma take care of her. Tism for the kind words. I agree that I dodged a bullet. Feels good to have it be validated by outside party. This woman is a master gaslighter and sounds like a narcissist of the highest order. Life is too short to associate with such toxic people. Personally, I think you should go no contact starting right now. With no friends and so many local reminders, I'd seriously consider relocating and rebooting my life. You need support by a good therapist. Search codependency and search self-compassion. These videos may be helpful. Infidelity trauma. Gaslighting. Tism for the links. I see the gaslighting and narcissistic behavior I was blind to before for sure. Since the last convo I have cut ties, blocked numbers, as well as deleted social media for the sake of mental well-being. So have a you're going to hate me, but wait till the end before punching me into conversation with her poor husband. Try to get him to copy for evidence, then delete her trophy video collections and pics. Find a non-toxic woman. Feel free to inform her whole SoCal chick of guys they need STD screened, because there are a lot of us. Get screened. Get better friends and move forward. Yes, good friend candidates are hard to come by. Easier said than done. Be receptive to warning signs and to avoid bad eggs. Whenever the idea of having that convo comes to mind, it almost always seems better as a daydream than really following through with it. I know he's in the thick of it now, and I can remember the paranoia and anxiety I felt with it all, so factoring in that he decided to have a child with her seems like the equivalent of putting his pecker in a cactus and wondering why he's pulling out spines. I've since met two women. One was clearly toxic and admittedly self-sabotaged. How easy of a layup the sex was, for the simple fact that I knew it would result in me getting my feelings hurt when and if she would be with other men. It was a clear hookup situation. The second was with a girl who was very codependent, and I cut it off before it got too serious. I got a screening a bit ago and came up clean by the grace of God. Ironically, one of the guys may be dealing with HIV, but I don't know for sure, nor do I really have sympathy. Thanks for the kind words. There are 8 on this planet, so by probability there are some pretty nasty people out there, and, unfortunately, you had a relationship with one of them. The only way to remove the hurt is to remove the emotions from the memories, and that takes introspection and time. My advice is to meditate to strengthen the mind and quell these emotions. It works but takes time and practice. Once the emotions are minimized, then you can use the past to move forward. And you should tell her husband. Do it anonymously if you wish. He has the right to know her history and then he can make an informed choice. I bet you wish someone came forward when you were dating this psycho. I need to keep up with meditation more. Thank you for that reminder. I had a profound experience with mushrooms which led to a good cry, and that helped a lot for a while, but I made the mistake of contacting her afterwards, which may have been a mistake, but it was a learning experience. I do wish someone told me. I hold some resentment that no one close to me said anything. Someone brought it to my attention once, but I didn't pay it any mind because of who it was coming from. Thanks. Tell her husband everything and send him the proof. She's a sick individual that men need to avoid like the plague. She's clearly mentally unstable and needs to be in long-term inpatient therapy. Please tell me that you have gone no contact with this toxic slug? Not anymore, no. Put my hand in the fire enough to learn my lesson. Wow. You may consider yourself a victim, but you lost a lot of that right to the claim when you did the same thing to another man and child. You've got severe issues you need to get under control, and blaming her doesn't excuse your behavior. Get and be better. The whole thing is FUBAR, frankly. Putting this out there with the intention of speaking my truth and trying to find support to be better. I never claim to be a saint, but I respect the feedback. Bro, I feel your pain. These friends you have, they're not your friends. Also, have yourself tested for STDs. It turns out that she's screwing all people you know, and you were the last one to know. Establish no contact with this girl. She's not healthy for you. She's not the woman you thought you knew. Focus on your well-being now. I think I'm finally ready to share advice. I'm going to start with a baby step since this is my first post, but I will work up to sharing the whole story eventually. About 9 months ago, a strange man showed up on my doorstep. He was there to tell me that my son has been sleeping with his wife for the past 8 years. At this point, my fiancé and I had been together for 14 years. We have 2 kids, both of which were born during this affair. He swears that he did not have feelings for her and that it was only physical. However, in speaking with her, she states there were feelings involved. There is obviously more to the story, but for now I will leave it at that. Feel free to ask questions. It's been very difficult, but we are still together, trying to move forward. There are times where I am happy, but more often than not, I feel like I am just going through the motions. I honestly cannot tell if I still love him or if I just need more time to heal. Right now, more than anything, I just want to feel more secure. I think a big part of the reason I chose to stay with him is because he is our provider. I am his arm. But even when I was working, I made less than half of what he was. I have no idea how I would even leave him. We are not married, but we are registered as domestic partners with the state. I have a family a few hours away, but they don't have enough room for myself and 2 young kids. I think that if I at least had a plan as to how I would leave, I might feel a little better. I could maybe focus more on healing if I didn't have to worry about the legalities of separating and whatnot. I'm looking for advice or success stories, please. Edit, here's a little more explanation. This is in no way a justification of his actions, it's just more info. He worked with the other woman. The affair started 8 years ago but was not a continuous 8-year affair. The encounters only happened at work, aside from a handful of instances where they met up outside of work. There were sometimes years in between their encounters when she worked at another location. At max, they hooked up 1 to 2 times a month because that's when their work schedules allowed it. You may think I'm a fool for believing anything, but trust me, this has all been verified. Just take it for what it is. What I don't need right now is to start doubting what I believe to be the truth. Thank you. 8 years of lies and faking. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say, how to comfort you. My heart goes for you. Many hugs for you and your children. I have been cheated on before, but I believe that my experience is pale in comparison to what you must be going through. I have to say that I honestly doubt that there were zero feelings after 8 years. Also, you should take all the time you need before deciding one way or another if you are going to reconcile. And you should know that it's perfectly okay to decide to reconcile today only to realize years later that you just can't go through with it and leave. You should expect this man to bend over backwards to try to earn the gift of reconciliation. If he doesn't, there's no hope for reconciliation. It's already statistically unlikely anyway, but I just don't know how anyone could make up for 8 years of lying to your face and betraying you and your children. It's harsh, but it's the reality. Stay strong. Thank you. This is another thing I needed to hear. For some reason I feel like if I make the choice to stay, I have to stay, and changing my mind later down the road won't be an option. I know it sounds silly, but it's just a mental block I need to move past. 8 years. There most definitely were feelings after 8 years. You can't reconcile successfully under these dynamics. There's a relationship imbalance here, and you only staying due to money will fail. He also has no real reason to change, so eventually the shoe will fall again. Your self-esteem and mental health will continue to fail while staying here. Right? If it was just sex, then it would be different people, not the same person over and over. He claims it was out of convenience. Doesn't make it any better. I almost wish it had been different people. He cannot be trusted. At all. Convenience is what makes sense, but it's not the truth. You don't know how strong you are until you do something. Whether you are a provider or ZAM, we become dependent on our partners physically and emotionally, which is why it's hard to leave. It feels impossible to move. It's really not. One day you'll see this. Thank you. Wow, this is just a horrible experience for you and your children. When a spouse also cheats, they cheat on ourselves and the children. There are a million questions that I'm sure are running through your mind. I guess the main one is why. Are there other women he has been having sex with? What was his end goal? Where did he see this going 5 or 10 years from now? Why has he never confessed to this on his own? Does he want you to end your relationship? All you can do at this time is give yourself time to decide what is best for you and your kids. I personally would start an exit plan. Speak with a lawyer to see what your options are as far as child support, splitting of assets, etc. Start saving money for yourself in your own name. Hugs to you and the kids. Thank you. 8 years is a long time, and it doesn't sound like he ever intended to tell you. You wouldn't know now if it wasn't for the other hurt spouse telling you. I think you have to weigh up if he genuinely seems remorseful and if you think he is putting in enough effort to reconcile. I think you've answered your own questions regarding the living situation. You need to find out how you could separate, because it means you aren't obligated to stay. I know it's difficult. I too am a ZAM and my husband is the higher earner. I don't know what it's like in the States, but are you entitled to any childcare? If you left and you aren't entitled to anything, you could tell your partner he needs to be responsible for 50% of the children's care, or you could look into how much child maintenance you'd receive. Have you got any assets, house, that you would have half of to sell? Are there any one-bed places to rent nearby so you could check out costs? Children share the bedroom and you take the living room until you get back on your feet. Your husband owes you, so if you feel you need to leave, you could ask/tell him he needs to help with deposits/whatever you need for you and your children's sake. It's the least he could do. If you decide to stay though, it's always worth knowing your plan B and getting comfortable with the idea of independence. Even in happy relationships, I feel this is important, so that you know you are staying because you want to, not because you have to. Good luck. Dear Rob, I'm sorry for your pain. I know it hurts. It will take some time to heal, and you will heal. Be patient. Now for what you do next. Find a local college, tech school or online courses. I do not know, but I'm told you can get a degree online now from a college. Figure out what you want to do, research which will be best for you. Start taking the classes. Now if you have been running the household, you have full access to the money. Do not ask for permission or let anyone know exactly what your plans are. You're just filling a little out of it and want to get out and further your education. It will take you 2 to 4 years, so you have plenty of time to figure out what you want to do in the relationship. Do not sell yourself short because a couple of useless cheaters. Good luck. This is great advice. Thank you very much. Had his app had any kids in those years? Get him to do a DNA test and compare them to yours if so. Might be too soon for you. Sadly, affair is probably why, if not for him. Do you keep in touch with the other betrayed partner? Had your kids found out about this? Had you contacted a lawyer or legal aid to ask questions about your rights in that sort of circumstances? You might do so. As horrid a thought as it likely is, if your kids have other siblings, that's not something to hide from them. Age depending. You're not alone. There are support groups besides here, but no, this wasn't at all your fault. You're a good, trusting person, and that's not a bad thing. He had feelings enough to keep doing it for 9 years. Sadly, probably not his only other partner over TG years. So you need a STD screening and make him get one also and show you his results. There is a small possibility that there were feelings on her end, and he made her believe he had feelings for her. After all, for 8 years you thought he was loyal to you, so he is obviously a good liar. As far as not having feelings, it seems weird to stay with her for 8 years. I'm really sorry about this, Op. It has to be devastating. I hope he is actually doing everything needed for reconciliation. I found that people try staying together because of the fear of the unknown after the fact. But I rarely find that you'll end up in a worse position. 8 years is all you need to know. You're not married or even together in his eyes if he could do this to you. What are you hoping for? If I were you, I'd pay no attention to him at all and I'd work on getting financially independent. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I completely understand the hard work involved in forgiving and reconciliation, but it can work. More people stay in these situations than leave them. Only you can decide if that's what will make you happy. But I have known couples who came out the other side happier and stronger. I wish that for you. Take your time. Thank you. I needed to hear this. 8 years is an alternate lifestyle. Believe this, your husband put your health at risk sleeping with the other woman. Your husband has been lying to you for 8 years. Possibly more. For 8 years you have been lied to with a straight face and smile. This person who claims to be your husband is not the person you thought he to be. I would think about consulting a lawyer. Know your rights. 8 years is another life, there will never be a success from that. Why do you devalue yourself and your ability to survive on your own so much? Cheating in a nutshell, read it. 8 years is longer than a lot of marriages. It's been very difficult, but we are still together, trying to move forward. Hold on, you stayed with a man who cheated on you throughout the entirety of your marriage. Why? What is going on with you that you can't find your spine and leave him? I get your Azam, I get you feel you need to stay for your kids. But you don't. You need to find happiness for yourself, and set a great example for your kids. What kind of lessons are you teaching them by staying? Leave for your kids. They deserve to grow up around happy, healthy parents and have a good example set for them regarding values. This will not work. There is no success story for you. These situations do not work out by putting your head in the sand and claiming it's all too much to deal with. You know what does work though? Reconciliation. But only in cases of remorse, transparency, and full honesty. Let's break down your situation here by category. 1. Remorse. Your partner cheated on you for 8 years. 8. With the same person. There were thousands of decisions, thousands of lies that went into this subterfuge. You had to find out from a random man on your doorstep. He never planned to tell you. Are these signs he's remorseful? Or are these signs he would never have told you if you didn't find out this way? I'd think the latter. 2. Transparency. This was a coworker. You believed there was nothing to worry about, and he didn't even tell you about this person. When you learned, you ate up everything he told you. You are sitting here believing that he's being transparent with this. Have you seen messages? Have you compared those messages to phone logs to see what was deleted? You have a lot more here to do to get to the actual truth. Please do not regurgitate this. 3. Honesty. Years between meetings? 1 to 2 times a month? This doesn't really make a lot of sense. Also, she told you there was feelings and you know he lied and said it was just physical. So what are you believing anything he said for? You don't know about frequency, you can only assume the worst. Because the person you are relying on for information is a confirmed liar and cheater. He cares about himself. If he cared about you and your children, he wouldn't be having these affairs. I have no idea how I would even leave him. I think a big part of the reason I chose to stay with him is because he is our provider. Here's how you start. Gather your evidence. You go and see a divorce attorney. Talk to him about alimony and child support. And get the ball rolling from there. Tell everyone about the infidelity, the length, the disgust and depravity. It will ensure you have a support system during this time. You'll need it. Don't let this man manipulate you further. Don't let him get in front of the narrative. I could maybe focus more on healing. You are in a situation where you are not allowing yourself to heal. Healing yourself in close proximity to the cause of your wound will never work. Get out. I hope for the best for you, you'll need it. Your head is not in the right place right now. It's understandable that you want what's best for your children. It speaks of your character that you would sacrifice so much for them. However, the fact he has been cheating on you for 8 years shows he is too comfortable with deceit for reconciliation to be a possible recourse. He can say or do whatever he wants, but can you ever trust him? How can you verify details of an 8-year affair? Emo, try as best as you can to find a way to make yourself independent of your husband. This may take years. Your children will see the dynamic between the two of you and it will negatively impact them and their maturation. Talk to a lawyer, ask advice, check your and his financial information, ask about potential alimony, child support, etc. It's in your interest to leave. Don't ascribe to the sunken costs fallacy, but exit when you're legally, physically and financially ready to. NB, if the other husband has kids, tell him to get a paternity test. How do I tell a man who's already been through so much to get a paternity test? I'm asking for real. This thought is constantly on my mind. I'm so afraid that a teenager will show up on my porch in 10-ish years asking for her dad. I want so badly for him to do a paternity test, but he has so much hatred for me, so would he even tell us the results? You're in a terrible situation and I sympathize deeply with the proliferation of cheap and easy genetic testing, the possibility of needing blood transfusions/transplants or even genetic diseases. The truth will eventually come out. That's not even mentioning the fact it's in vogue to test and see genetic heritage just for fun. He can ignore the issue now and have it come back with a vengeance, which will affect you and your children, or he can see what the truth is and work from that as a basis. You aren't doing him or yourself any favors by burying the issue. It already haunts him. He is aware of the problem. He is probably too scared/ashamed to see. Try asking him privately so only you and he know what comes of it. One thing you should be conscientious about is he is likely feeling emasculated because another man slept with his wife. If his child isn't his, it's going to be a major blow to his self-esteem. Build up courage, be polite, empathetic and as kind as you can be. Bring the topic up gently. If he refuses or does not want to share the results, then you did your best. Fundamentally, it's an issue that needs addressing, because it's something that will resurface if your husband fathered his children. Thank you. I'm working up to emailing him. You are right, I have to at least try. Stay strong, lots of love. Your so is truly disgusting to have gotten you to the point where you're having to think about this. Look after yourself. Oh my goodness, you poor thing. My heart hurts for you. My WXH probably cheated during the first year of marriage as I sensed something/found odd stuff at a year. We can't compare our situations, but 8 years is a long time. What has your WP shown in response to you finding out from the AP's BS? What was his behavior like after the discovery? It's hard to weed out if he felt any guilt or was he suffering from losing his AP? Did he/AP quit their jobs or do they still have contact? Did he go 100% open on all technology? This doesn't matter though if they still work together and able to make contact. Did you see any old messages between the two? Did the AP's BS say how did he discover the affair? Did the AP confess to him? Did your AP enter IC? How old are your children? Did he admit to more affairs? Did you get tested for STIs? I would assist on protection until you feel comfortable if you have/will resume sexual relations after your STI testing is done. By finding out the answers to these questions, you can make a decision about your WP's investment in your relationship. In the meantime, I agree that you should consider getting some training. One positive of COVID is the number of online learning opportunities. Unfortunately, you now know your WP did not have your best interests at heart. It will be beneficial to start getting things in order so that you can decide your future versus having it decided for you due to your current circumstances. He seems extremely remorseful. He tried to hide some facts from me in the beginning, but after a few days he opened up and told me everything. Said he knew if he lied he would lose me. The main condition I set for him was he could not remain at his job. Luckily there was an opening 3 states away and he got the job and was out of there within a few weeks. He had no problem doing this. Never once tried to fight me on it. He doesn't have any social media. They communicated through email and he gave me all access to said email account. She has not tried to reach out to him, that I know of. Her husband found her email account on her phone that she accidentally left open one day. It took him 2 months after finding out to tell me. Not sure why. But during those 2 months my so and her continued the affair. So after my so opened up and told me everything, I was the one who had to tell her husband that they continued sleeping together after he caught her. There's so much more I could say, but those are some of the key points. Based on this additional information, why would your WH continue to have sex with her? Did she not tell your WH that her BS knew? So your WH had no worries it would get back to you. He needed to continue even though he knew BS knew. Could be possible she didn't tell your WH, but I find that suspicious. She told my so that her husband found out. But she also told him that she convinced her husband not to tell me. Them continuing to have sex was such a huge red flag for me. Who the duck does that? Either of them? The difference between my so and her is that he is owning up to how shitty he's been and trying to make things right. She on the other hand is mad at my so for being done with her and is trying to blame him for all of her problems. I don't think her and her husband are together anymore. The lying doesn't end. Advice. My husband cheated in 2019. We're civil and working out how to get to a good point. But I think I am the one stopping it. Well, not completely. His lying has picked up, and while I know the truth, he doesn't know I know the truth. So he lies, and in my head I said, "You're ducking lying." But never out loud. I read his text and seen the pictures. His BFF, I don't like her, bought him a shirt. I saw the text exchange that told him she has it and come get it. I asked him, "That's a cool shirt, where'd you get it?" He goes on and tells me I was there when he bought it. Like, why did you lie about a shirt? He spends money and even pays for her things, but I am not to know. So, now I found he made plans for Saturday with her. So I am waiting to see what happens. But I know he's going to lie to me and tell me something whack. I am sick and tired of being lied to, because if you lie to me about little things, how do I know you're not lying about big things? Maybe he doesn't trust me, but lying would make everything so much worse. I'm trying here. So, what would you do? Background. This BFF was in the picture before me in his life. She was thorn when we met. She's still a thorn today. If he's still lying, then there's no point in trying to reconcile. You can't be the only one trying to fix the relationship. Get a lawyer involved, start going through the motions, get your preliminary stuff out of the way. Also, just confront him when he's telling a lie. You don't have to sit there and take it, and if he doesn't trust you, he shouldn't be married to you. Bottom line, you deserve better. This is a toxic relationship, best to end it now while you can still kind of speak amicably. What did I do? Left. Without trust you have nothing. Lying is the worst part of infidelity. And lying causes so many other issues that you can't repair because it's impossible to know the truth. If he's not doing anything wrong and unfaithful, why lie? Because he knows how you feel about her? Even more reason to be honest. Liars love to say they can't be honest because of your reactions or your assumptions. That's complete BS. The reactions are there because of the lying. How they rationalize that it's better to lie, get caught and have a huge fight is better than suck it up, tell the truth, and have a discussion makes no sense. My ex lied to me about a female friend all the time. I knew why and called him out several times to give him the opportunity to be truthful. He continued to lie to prevent me from leaving while he figured out which one of us he wanted to be with. I left anyway. Had he sat me down and said I'm struggling with X, Y, Z and this friend has been there for me and feelings developed, we could have talked about it. I likely still would have left because he was cheating at that point, but it would have shown me he was conflicted and attempting to be honest with me. Instead, I left in anger, hurt and disgust and we never got closure or remained amicable after 4 years together. He insisted on keeping her this big mysterious secret. A friend that remained nameless, yet he told me things about her. Now I consider it as triangulation. He was telling us about each other, to create a jealous rivalry to dance for his attention. A lie is a choice. Your husband knows exactly what he is doing and why he is keeping secrets. That's a marriage killer. As a guy, this is a no-fly zone. There's no reason any of this should be happening. You shouldn't have to be wondering what he's doing or why he's being sneaky at this point. Sit down and have a long conversation. If he gets defensive and says you're the problem, go to a lawyer. Well, every time I visit his friendship with this person, he always get defensive. For example, yesterday he spent his evening with me. But his message to her said sorry, I got busy after work. I'll call you tomorrow. He never tells her that he is with me or ever around me. She most likely thinks I'm a shitty wife. Maybe I'm wrong, but with how he lies to you about things involving her, I would be thinking something is up with them. If it's such simple little things, why does he need to lie about them unless it isn't something little? Why lie to the BBF that he got busy after work instead of saying sorry spending time with my wife? I personally would find this fishy behavior, especially since he's a known cheater. I agree. It's always touchy when it comes to his BFF. Some days I just want to run away and be done. Some days I want to spend all my time with him, despite feeling like he'd rather not spend all that time with me. He never tells her when he's with me. It bothers me, but he sees it as no problem. I'm tired of feeling like I'm in competition. You aren't in competition. He is cake eating. You must realize that his BFF is his current affair. This woman has been a thorn in my side since we started dating in 2009. There is a sure way to pull that thorn. Anyone who gets upset about questions about your relationship, has more to hide than the answer. He's lying to both of you. At least you know. I don't know if it's even worth asking him to explain himself, because at this point no matter what he says, you won't be able to take it at face value. There's also the question of whether you really want him back. You need to really think about what you are willing to live with, steps you are willing to take if you want to save the marriage, as well as what you would need from your husband, and what life as a separated/divorced woman would look like. You may also want to discreetly meet with a really good divorce attorney to discuss your options. He cheated 2 years ago, continues to lie, and you want to see what happens? Nothing changes if nothing changes. He has demonstrated he isn't changing, so only you can change the situation. Leave. Get as far away from him as possible, since he'll never change. If kids are involved, put up as much emotional distance between y'all two and treat him only as the father of the kids and move on to find more happy endeavors that don't draw down your mental health. Thankfully, we don't have kids in common. If reconciliation is to work, the WS must be remorseful and must do most of the heavy lifting. That doesn't seem to be the case for you. It may be best for you to close this chapter of your life and move on. Get some IC for yourself, consult a lawyer and plan an exit strategy. You have an awesome advantage in that they do not know that you have access to their messages. You are the proverbial fly on the wall. Do not give up this advantage. This will help protect you from any attempts at gaslighting, trickle-truthing, blame-shifting, minimizing, deflecting, etc. Also remember the 3 pillars of any successful relationship: love, trust, and respect. You need all 3 if the relationship is to thrive. Best of luck. Lawyer up, protect your finances, get any heirlooms and personal valuables to a safe and secure place, and then tell him that you're done. He has zero respect for you because he, obviously, has a girlfriend and he habitually lies to you. I'm very sorry for your heartache. It really is tiring. How are you the one stopping anything? He's lying and still seeing another woman. He's incapable of telling the truth about anything. This isn't on you at all. Getting to a good point with this person is easy. Grey rock and 180 and just walk the F away. Stop torturing yourself with this guy and respect yourself more. Move on and put this chump in your rear view for good. I'm not open-minded about their friendship. I know she doesn't respect the fact that we're married. I can't stand her and I bring up that I can't stand her. I'm also not a submissive person in general. I am really starting to feel he thinks it's okay to be close to me and what he shares, yet is open to me being okay with knowing nothing at all. Not sure if this is the weekend to do this, but I'm sure he will sneak away to see his BFF relatively soon. I would get really organized, get all personal papers together, copies of your joint taxes for the last 7 years and anything else you deem really important. Also, if needed for divorce, copies of texts, pics, etc. Don't forget to check his cloud. Then if you're ready to leave him and he plans another meeting with BFF, I would have friends and family on standby, and the minute he is out the door call the troops in with a rental truck, and take all the stuff you want. Petty me would only leave his clothes, an air mattress and a plate, bowl, and a knife, fork and spoon from a thrift store, and get gone. By not doing this weekend, you have some time to plan where to stay, where to put your stuff, maybe if possible send the kids to their dads for their visitation, and to tell your friends and family what's going on, and get help to load and go. If you choose to stay after his affair and all the lying and the weird relationship with the BFF, therapy is a must, and so would be to terminate the BFF relationship. Anything less and I wouldn't stay, but that's your call. I wish you luck. Do you know what they're doing on Saturday? Maybe bring a friend and pop in with divorce papers. Going to the park, I gathered and hung out. What park? I have no idea. Do a little test. You should say that you'd like to come and hang out too. His reaction will tell you everything. There should be no reason why a couple can't enjoy time together with their respective friends. Make him explain carefully why you can't join them. That is if he tells me he is going to hang out with her and not something like I have to go into work. Does he have an iPhone? Maybe enable the Find My Phone app. Or if it's an Android, maybe they have a similar app. You can also put a tracker on his car, like the Tile. He has an iPhone but I don't, and I have no idea how to do that. Again, she is an ex, not a BFF. Doesn't sound like she is an ex either. BFF or no, known her before you or after, all this doesn't matter because you are the priority, and if he isn't treating you like one, you need to tell him. Relationships should be transparent and loyalty should be the topmost priority. Don't settle if he can't remove that parasite BFF. Always confront if you're uncomfortable. It's better than suffering in silence. Hugs. To be honest, instead of putting up with this torture, it'd be better if you just divorce him without asking him questions without any answer. Just tell him you want a divorce, and if he asks why, then just don't answer. He doesn't deserve an answer. What he deserves is divorce papers in his face. I don't know why he would lie, except your reaction to his friend seems a little overblown. Did he cheat on you with this friend? Does he fear your reaction when he hangs out or talks to this friend? I only say this because my ex, God bless her soul, was very jealous of any interaction I had with any female. I think this post needs more explanation and clarity on the reasons why he may be lying, for which I see no reason. A man can be friends with a female, no problem. Same vice versa. Okay, let me go down the list. 1. She used to lean on him heavy when she was abusing drugs and alcohol. Even at 3 a.m., he was even sleeping with her while he was starting to date me. 2. She didn't get clean for her kids, she got clean because my husband stopped talking to her. I have no respect for anyone who doesn't even respect their own kids. 3. She's told him I am not good enough for him and she should have been his wife. 4. She wants to grow old with him. 5. She sent him unwarranted naked photos. Not saying he slept with her, just saying if he did, he is not going to admit to it, the same he did with the affair I caught him in because I would go apeshit. 6. She quits jobs like she's not over 50 and has plenty of years ahead while financially dependent on my husband. Wow, she acts like she owns him. Looks like your husband might be the father of her kids too, who knows? You should not be tolerating this behavior of that woman or your husband. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.